Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Anthony, but right now I'm Icey, and yeah, this is my fourth video. This is crazy. So it took a minute for me to download to record this video because I just kept pushing it back. I was just really afraid to do it because it's gonna get a little bit more personal now, And but before I start the whole video, I did get a feedback from someone that told me, like, you need to not spend too much time on your introduction, just get straight to the video and start talking about what I want to talk about, So let's go. So this video is really just basically going to be about, like, the nickname Icey, like where it came from, what it represents and stuff like that. So let's get started. So all right, so I think I said in my first video, Chandler, because I live in Arizona. If anybody that's watching this out of state, I live in Arizona. I'm from Chandler, Arizona. That's my hometown. That's where I was born. I mean, I lived everywhere. I was raised everywhere, but I always consider Chandler like my hometown. That's where I'm from C-Town. That's what we call it. We call it C-Town. But anyways, so the nickname came from it was my sophomore year. I was going to Chandler High, and I had some friends. I love wearing jewelry. Of course, you can see diamonds is like Icey's best friend, and I'll explain that later on. But I just love the way jewelry just shines and blings. I don't know, it just captivates me. But no, so yeah, I was in 10th grade in Chandler High, and I didn't have a lot of friends because I was a really shy, quiet guy. But the friends that I did have, they would always compliment me, like, because I would always wear something new, like, oh, it's a dope chain, or like, those are nice earrings, or that's a pretty ring. You're like, damn, like, Anthony, you're always iced out, you're always Icey. So I gave myself the name Icey. No one really gave it to me. I gave it to myself, and it just grew on to me. And so at that time, it was like a fun, cool nickname to have. But later on, it became more than that. It became an alter ego of mine, which I will explain. But let's kind of continue off where I left off in my last video. So basically, yeah, so remember I wasn't in love yet, but I was, I met that guy that was in my PE class that made me realize I was gay, and I named him Dream Boy because I didn't know his name, but then later on I found out his name was Gabe, and I won't say his last name for, to respect him and his privacy, even though I haven't talked to him in years. But anyways, so yeah, I didn't see him. Like, I remember, this is crazy. So I'm all over the place with this video, by the way, but I'm just gonna go whatever comes to my head. So that's just what it is. So I remember during that time in middle school, I met another friend. His name was Alex, and later on I ended up finding out that Alex was related to Gabe because of their last names. They had the same. They ended up being cousins. But I was good friends with Alex. We were cool, and it was crazy because I remember, I ended up finding out that Gabe actually lived literally down the street from where I lived. But I never talked to him. We never talked. We rode the same bus. Once in a while, he'd be on the bus, and, I was just kind of infatuated with him because he made me feel different, But, and later on, he became a big part of my life. But yeah, after 6th grade, he disappeared. And I don't know, I don't know what happened to him. He just left and I never saw him back in middle school. So it was like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade passed by, and he was nowhere to be found. I just kind of forgot about it. I didn't forget about him, but I always, like, it was just whatever. And so that happened. And okay, so 7th, 8th grade. So by freshman, I went to Apache Junction High School. I was living in Apache Junction for my 9th grade, for my freshman year. And this is when my family was basically falling apart as far as, like, my parents' marriage. It was getting rough. There was a lot of arguments, physical fights, and I was really scared of my dad. And I just want to say, I don't want my videos to make my dad seem like he's this horrible person. He really isn't. I love my dad so much. Like I said, there was a time in my life where he actually saved my life, and I want to have a video about that, and I want to talk about the good things, that I loved about my dad. But at that time when I was 14, 15, and you know, when we're living in Apache Junction, he was a scary guy. Like, I remember how strict he was. I remember, like, none of me and my sisters, we couldn't even cuss. Like, we couldn't say that. Like, we couldn't say shit or fuck or damn it. Like, and it was funny because my dad would cuss all the time. Like, he would say the F word like every other word when he would be on the phone with like his friends or something, and it would piss me off. I'm like, and because we would never cuss intentionally. Like, sometimes we just cussed. And for the music that we would listen to like 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg. I remember one time I was listening to, it was one of Snoop Dogg's albums, and I was in my room listening to it, bumping it, and he knocked on the door and he's like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" And I was just like, and he got mad at his sister, my tia, because she was the one, she used to burn us CDs, me and my sisters, and he would tell her like, "Oh, you know, I can't." I remember she's told us, like, "I can't record you guys CDs no more because your dad doesn't want you guys listening to bad words." So then she would have to buy the edited versions, and it was just crazy. My dad was really strict, but I know he meant well, but I know there was times where he overdid it, and he knows he overdid it, you know. But my dad, I think he was just doing what he thought was right, you know. And like I said, there was a lot of things that were good and good intention that I learned from him, and there was things that did mess me up a little bit, you know. So when my mom and dad decided to split up, my mom was basically like, you know, "Are you going to come with me or are you going to stay with your dad?" And of course I went with her because I was terrified of my dad, you know, I was scared of him. So I went with my mom, and we left the house that we had in Apache Junction. I left school, and we ended up moving to Chandler, and we lived at my godmother's house, which was my mom's sister. And that's when life really became the struggle. You know what I mean? The struggle began, and it just became reality just hit me. It was just like, okay, now you're not a kid anymore. You know, you have to help your mom with your sisters, and that's the thing that my dad taught me. You know, always protect your sisters, always watch them. You know, don't let them get hurt, don't let them get in trouble. And so I kind of had to grow up when I was 14, 15. I was like, I had to be their dad in some way, and it was tough, you know. And yeah, the struggle started from there. You know, at a young age, it was like we didn't know where to go, we didn't know where to live. We kind of just bounced around. My mom has a big family on her side, so we kind of just lived everywhere, and it was tough, you know. And it was very new to me and my sisters, and like, oh my god, I want to have a video with just my mom, about my mom, like, because holy hell, like, she is literally invincible, like, from the shit that we've been through, you know. Like, she kind of just kept us together some way, somehow. I don't know how she did it to this day, you know. She's a real human superhero, you know, soldier. There's no words to explain it, you know. She could have easily just given up on us and be like, okay, I can't deal with these teenage, you know. For me and my sisters to be like at the age where we're trying to figure out life, that, you know, it was tough to combine that with the struggle, you know, for her to stick around and raise us, all of us, you know, and keep us together and keep us fed and keep us going to school and a place to sleep. And it's incredible. My mom is amazing, you know, and I really, she's my biggest inspiration, honestly. But that will be, I'll get more into detail about her in another video. I really want to dedicate a video to her. But yeah, so the struggle hit real hard. Okay, so I want to tell a story. Alright, so I remember I mentioned in a couple previous videos that I was an alcoholic, that I became an alcoholic. So at the age of 15 is when I had my first drink, the first time I ever got drunk. And it was off of, at that time I was 15, so the most popular liquor was the Hypnotic, and that's my signature drink. Everybody kind of knows, like a lot, my friends and my family always, like, when they think of Hypnotic, they think of me. And it's like Icey's favorite drink because it's the blue, you know. And yeah, so I remember one time I stayed at my grandparents' house, and it was my dad's parents' house. I stayed the night, and I remember I had a field trip the next day, and my tia, my dad's sister had the bottle, so she brought it out, and we're all hanging out outside or something. And that was the first time I was nervous because I was drinking in front of my grandparents and my parents, and yeah, let's just say I didn't end up not going to that field trip the next day. I passed out on the couch, and that was the first time I got drunk, and I was like, whoa, this is a good, I love this feeling. I want to keep getting drunk all the time now. And unfortunately, that's what ended up happening. You know, ended up abusing that privilege, you know. And at 15, you know, and especially going through the changes I was going through personally, as far as like, you know, realizing that I'm gay, you know. I didn't come out until I was 16, and it wasn't purposely. That's another story too that I want to kind of throw in here. I remember when I was 16, we were living in Chandler, and we're living with my godmother, and I remember I would go on the phone, I would use their house phone to call this thing called a party line, and it was basically like this phone number you would call, and it's like a chat room. This was like before, like, this was barely like when MySpace was kind of coming out. Like, it was like the pre thing before MySpace. So sorry if my eyes are like squinting. I have a fan in here and it's like hitting my eyeballs. But so I don't get all sweaty because I get nervous still recording, but I'm getting better at it. I think I am. So anyways, back to the story. So I remember I would take the phone and I would go into the garage and I would call people, and I would talk to guys. You know, I'd particularly talk, obviously I would try to meet guys. I was interested in guys or boys. I was young. So my mom caught me one time, or she was listening, or you know, to conversations talking to these boys. And so one night she wrote me a letter, and it was basically saying like, "Mijo, I heard you on the phone talking to boys. Are you going through a phase of oh no, I don't remember exactly what the letter said, but it was like, basically she was like I hope you're not going to be gay because your dad's not going to like that, and this and that, and I remember you told me, you said you were going to have a girlfriend and you were going to have a wife and have kids, so how can you do that if you're going to be gay?" And so it was like a disappointment for her that she was coming to terms with realizing that I was gay, which was really hard for me because I was in denial. You know what I mean? I was personally in denial of my own self, you know, and I was terrified of my dad finding out because of how scared I was of him. But so my mom wrote me a letter, and then so I wrote her back, and I just said, "Mom, I don't think I'm gay. I was like, I think maybe I'm just going through a phase. Maybe I'm bi. I like girls and guys, you know." And I knew deep down, I know I liked guys, but it was a way to let her down, I guess, to slowly kind of come out to her, to where it's not too much for her, because we were already going through so much, you know, and it was just like that on top of that. But yeah, I ended up telling her that, and it was so tough. God, I started drinking so much at that time. Like, I remember I would sneak into my family members' kitchens and find beer, vodka, anything, and I would drink it, you know, and I'd drink it before I go to sleep. That way nobody would know, but I just wanted to feel numb, you know, like that was my I don't know, like my comfort, you know. It was alcohol. And it got bad because there were times when, you know, we would be at family parties and I'd get really drunk, and a lot of the times I don't remember, not that I blacked out or anything, but it was just kind of blurry, you know. Like the next day my cousins, or they would tell me like, "Oh my God, Anthony, at that time I was Tony, like or Icey, like you were fucked up, you were drunk on the floor, and I wasn't violent, which was the good thing. I was more an emotional person. I would cry a lot. It was just kind of like all the feelings that I kept in would just pour out, you know. And I would be aggressive as far as like, you know, I would not break things, but like just clumsy, falling around, you know, my cousins would always have to help me pick me up, take me to the bathroom if I had to throw up, or they would throw water in my face so I wouldn't pass out, or just kind of snap me out of it. And it was like that all the time, and it got to a point where my family they would not want me to come to these parties anymore. They'd be like, oh no, don't bring Icey, he's gonna get drunk, and he's gonna mess up the party, so let's not bring him. And it hurt, it bothered me. Like, I didn't want to be that way, but it was just like, alcohol was my addiction. I was an alcoholic, and it was like that for 5 years, so 15 to 20. And 20 is, when I was 20, I had the worst incident. I don't know how to. The worst thing happened to me when I was 20, which will be another video, and that's what made me stop drinking. But yeah, it was crazy. So let's kind of get into like other things about like. So I always say that I respect people that go through the struggle. I've always respected people that go through the struggle. The people that not all people that go through the struggle, but the people that go through the struggle that make that I don't know how to explain this. That it makes them better. You know what I mean? That they learned from it. They became stronger from it. They just, I don't know. Like, I don't like the people that go through the struggle and become bitter and hate the world and do wrong and destructive. And because I was that person. The struggle did make me cold-hearted. You know what I mean? It did make me tough. It did. And it's good and it's bad. It's good because it makes you tough for the world. No one can really fuck with you. But at the same time, like, it can get the best of you sometimes, and sometimes you can take it out on people without really meaning to hurt people, and so that's where the alter ego comes, where Icey's alter ego. Icey is basically, he is the bad side of me, and like I said, first it was just a cool nickname, but I realized, like, that's, Icey is a person, Icey is a person inside of me. Icey was the kid that would drink and get drunk and cry and was struggling with trying to accept himself, trying to find someone who would understand him, and luckily I had two people that helped me get through this rough time. One of them was Gabe. Later on, I kind of skipped a lot of stuff, but anyways, when I was in freshman in Apache Junction High when I was 15, I basically ran into Gabe again. He was there. It was the weirdest thing. So I didn't see him for 2 years. He left middle school and then he came back. So he was at AJ High. We were both freshmen, and that's when I reached out to him. I remember we had like student emails, and I found his name and I emailed him and I told him like I wanted to meet him, and he was just like, okay. And then it was just a weird, awkward way to like get to talk to him, but we actually became pretty good friends. I mean, we wouldn't hang out at school and stuff like that. We never we never really hanged out, which is crazy to say that out loud, but we did have the strongest bond, the strongest relationship when it came to like over the phone or like on like MySpace or whatever. It was my first real friendship that, someone who wasn't family, was just a regular guy, and he understood me and he was there for me throughout the whole struggle. And I didn't come out to him till I was like, I think I was like 17. Yeah, I was like 17 or 18 when I came out to him. And I do want to do another video explaining more of him and his relationship, because it's very, I don't know, it's special, and I want it to be, on another video. But yeah, he was there for me through the whole struggle. Like, he helped me, and that was another reason I drank too. I would get drunk because of the relationship I had with him, because I did fall in love with him. He was my first love, and unfortunately he didn't know. He didn't know I was gay. He didn't know I was in love with him. I was just his friend, and it was torture for me, because it was like, I couldn't tell him. I didn't want to lose him because he was such a good friend, and when I would drink, I would be like, I would want to call him, and there was times when I did call him and I would tell him like, we can't be friends anymore. And it would literally hurt him. He would tell me, he'd be like, wow, like, Anthony, like, how could you do that? Like, I'm always here for you. Why would you cut me out like that? And that would break me down because I would not want to hurt him, you know? And I would have to be like, I'm sorry, like, let's still be friends. And he'll be like, okay, you know, and then we'll still be friends. And God, we did that for so many times until there was a time when he did get sick of it, and it was bad. It was ugly. But that didn't happen until later. But, so that was one of my friends that was there for me. The other friend was actually a family member, and she was my aunt, and she was like my favorite aunt. She was the cool one, you know. You always have that cool tia, like, you know, and she was it, and she was my dad's sister. And I do want to have a video like of her and her relationship, because it was a really special one too. And unfortunately we don't talk anymore, and I'll explain that in another video with her. But basically she was there for me, you know. We became best friends. I didn't look at her as my tia. I didn't like, we became like inseparable. Like, she knew inside and out of me, and I knew inside and out of her, and we had so much in common. We were like the same person in so many ways. It was crazy. It was like the weirdest thing ever, and our relationship was unbreakable, you know. It was just, and you know, and I remember I did come out to her. I think I was 16 or 17. Oh no, I was 17. I was like 16 going 17. But I remember I told her about the letter with my mom wrote me, and I was crying when I told her, because I was afraid she was gonna, you know, like, not, I don't know, that she would look down on me, or like, I was afraid that she was gonna have like a bad reaction, like the way I imagined my dad to have one, the way, you know, he didn't. I'll get to that later. But so I'm sorry, I'm talking as if like this camera is another person. So if my words are all over the place, this is what it is. This is real. I'm real. This is how real it gets, you know. I'm not gonna edit. This is raw, you know. Okay, so yeah, so she was definitely one of the other people that was there for me. And when I told her, you know, I was gay, and she was just like, I know. She's like, it's okay. I'm here for you. And she hugged me, and she cried with me. And she's like, I love you. You know, you're going to be okay. Everything's okay. She was like really the first person to tell me that when I came out to be gay, you know. And from there, our bond grew stronger than ever, you know. And we had the best friendship ever, you know. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about like where I'm from. You know, I'm from Chandler, Arizona. Like, that's my hometown. Every time I'm there, I feel like I'm home. I've lived everywhere in Arizona. I lived in like 10 different cities. I lived in different states. And when I'm driving around Chandler, when I'm cruising around Chandler, it's like that's my home, you know. And the reason Chandler means so much to me too is not only does it have that home feeling, it's because so much has happened there. You know, that's where the struggle began for me. And that's where it was, and a lot of things happened in that city. You know what I mean? For me, like, I remember that was the first time I ever kissed a boy. It was in Chandler. You know, those were the nights when I'd get drunk as shit. You know, and you know, that's where Icey started. Icey started in Chandler, aka C-Town. I'm not in a gang. I'm not a gangster. I just like to pretend I am sometimes. No, but like, so yeah, Icey's just like the tough side of me, basically. You know, I don't intentionally. I'm not intentionally a person to hurt people. If someone were to disrespect me in a way where it you know, it can hurt me, or if there's ever a situation where someone disrespects my family or anyone that I love, that's when Icey is, you know, just kind of comes out in me. And I know everyone has a good and bad side, but Icey's like extreme. You know what I mean? Sometimes Icey will say things that are cruel, like just pure evil, honestly. And it's just real cold-hearted Like, you know, sometimes Icey would say something and people would be like, wow, like, you know, that's below the belt, you don't say stuff like that, you know. And but that's what the struggle made me. And I'm not saying the struggle made me a bad person. It didn't. It just made me tough, you know. It made me hard when it's necessary, you know. And like Icey has, like, he hates like when people fight around him or when people argue, because it reminds him of his childhood and like his parents fighting. And Icey will get involved, you know. Icey will make it about him, you know. The fight's not even about the other people anymore, it's about Icey. And I just, and like, I want to say this too. The biggest misconception of Icey is that people think that Icey's too good, like he's stuck up, like too good for anybody, and that's completely wrong. If anything, Icey's really, he has a really like sensitive side to him. He's really vulnerable, and he's very self-conscious. That's where the self-consciousness comes from. That character trait is on Icey's side. He's really, you know, cares too much about what people think about him, and really sensitive. And so yeah, there's so much about Icey. He will always be a part of me. That's who I am. I literally have it Icey's tatted on my arm, and that diamond is actually the diamond that I have, like right here. I got this when I was, I don't know, I think I was 17 or 18. But yeah, this diamond is actually the one that like the tattoo artist used to like trace it. So yeah. So yeah, we're at 26 minutes. I don't know, what else did I want to say? Like this is why I didn't want to this is why I kept pushing this video back, is because like I was just like, there's so much random shit, like I don't even know where to begin. But that's my next video. I'm not even sure what my next video is going to be about. I know what it's going to be about. Oh my god, it's going to be about my first boyfriend, and his name is Charms, and he is a very interesting person, and I would love to share the story about me and my first boyfriend, because man, if anyone brought out the worst in me, it was him. You know, he made Icey the most like evilest person in the world, you know. But that's another story, and that'll be the next video. But yeah, so I'm gonna call this video Icey from the Block, because I mean it in a way where Icey's never too good for anybody, you know. I like, no matter like where I've lived at or where I go in my life, I will always remember I came from Chandler. I came from the struggle. You know, I've went through some shit, and that's why it's, you know, I'm still Icey from the Block. Like I'm never gonna change on people. Like, yes, I've changed as a better person, but I've never changed on people where I feel like I'm too good for anyone. The only thing I'm too good for, I would have to say, is negativity. I'm too good for people that love to make other people miserable, that complain about life, that talk shit about other people, that love drama, and that's the only thing I'm too good for, honestly. Like I always say, like I always make a joke when people fight, or you know, negative people come around. I'm like, I don't talk to them because I don't get paid to do it. Obviously nobody gets paid for that shit, but what I'm saying is, like, that's how ridiculous it is. I don't want to get involved in people that love that, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing I'm too good for. But yeah, this video is coming to an end now, so I hope you like it. If you want to share it, share it. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. Yeah, let people know, like, it's cool, you know, like I don't even know what to say anymore. But I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for everyone that supported me and watches my videos. And yeah, well, and always remember, learn to love yourself. That's what I learn every day, you know. And I don't love myself now, but I know I will one day. And these videos is what helps me. So yeah, amate. Alright, well, my next video will be out next month, and it'll be about my first boyfriend, Charms. So stay tuned. Alright, bye.